I actually watched it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yep. It's topical now because it just popped on the streamings.
Yeah.
So it's because no one was gonna pay for it in the freaking theater.
Hell no. Hell no one's about to pay for that shit. Welcome everybody to the show. Tonight we're talking about Morbius that dropped on streaming. How are you guys doing out there? I have seen the movie and so has my cohort here, and I'm glad he's here talking about it. I'm not alone. Chris.
Dude, I can't even say anything witty right now. It's just just as Morbius drains the blood out of his victims, just everything is drained out of me after watching this movie.
I'm so glad. This is our Morbius like group. You know, this is like our comfort zone.
Support.
Our support. Yeah. This is our Morbius support group. And
it's MA Morbius Anonymous.
Oh my god, if I haven't gone through it. So for those unaware, there was a movie called Morbius starring Jared Leto. So Sony has the licenses to some of Spider-Man's villains, and because a company needs to make money, and how they make money is to maximize their assets. A lot of their assets are the Spider-Man villains without having to, go and check in with Marvel about Spider-Man himself. So they're like, all right, we have this whole slate where we're going to do a bunch of villains in the Spider-Man world, and we can do whatever we want. We don't have to check in with Marvel. We are working in association with them, but we don't have to get the final say from Kevin Feige or whatnot. So let's go. So Morbius, boom. How about a guy who has a terminal disease along with his buddy in an orphanage or wherever the hell they were? And he was always kind of smart, grows up to be a doctor, tries to work on his illness his entire life. He's kind of like a Doctor Strange, like world's best, scientific doctor or whatnot. And then he thinks of a situation in which, over the years, I've developed this theory that, bats, because they drink blood, have to produce a certain coagulant, blah, 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 a bunch of science and mumbo jumbo. Who freaking cares? Let's do it with bats. And then he injects himself with bat stuff. He becomes a living bat, living vampire. His boy becomes a villain because they were both sick. They're both terminally ill. He promised his best friend that, hey, I'm going to cure you too. And then his best friend, who is played by Matt Smith, infamously from Doctor Who, becomes the villain. They fight it out. Chris, your view on this wonderful masterpiece, this epitome of cinema known as Morbius. What is your take on the movie? If a friend of yours is like, hey man, how's that movie Morbius? Is it worth watching?
Is it back in the early 2000s? And are you just maybe getting into middle school? You just might like this movie. It is... Oh, this movie would have crushed. Did you like that Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman? Did you love that movie?
About that.
Oh my god, this movie was so bad. The most disappointing thing was how much it didn't disappoint about how disappointing it was. It was exactly as bad as you think it is. It had inklings, the worst inklings of Twilight in it. It had moments weird exposition that totally remind me of the friggin' Fantastic Four movie that bombed, where the middle of the movie they decided to put a montage in where someone just talks about how everyone's developing their own abilities. Instead of showing them developing the abilities, they just had someone talk over it. And I felt like that was what the majority of this movie was. Also, I'm all for doing something silly and ridiculous, but the fact that he becomes a vampire and has all these weird, super fast, related to undead powers, but he got it from a vampire bat. I don't know about you, but vampire bats don't just zip around real fast. They're not hedgehogs or something like that. I don't understand where a lot of this connection comes from. I don't understand. Some of the visuals were the echolocation thing looked really cool, but I also don't understand how it was. Oh, sorry, sonar. The whole sonar thing looked really cool. I don't understand how that's supposed to be sonar. Man, this movie was just not good. It's,
Yeah,
it's just not good.
and the sonar thing was weird too because like he and Matt Smith, like his homeboy, that when they were both sick, they promised like, oh, I'm gonna cure you, gonna cure me, whatever, whatnot.
Yeah.
They like weaponized the echolocation too. It's so weird. Like they're fighting with sonar. I'm like, I don't understand the power set.
What's happening, dude? The second that the friggin' end of that movie, when all of a sudden he like falls down and then like just is like passed out but still sonaring, I was like, this motherfucker is pulling in bats right now. He's gonna fight with bats, and lo and behold, an army of bats show up, and that's the finale. I don't. What is this movie? What is this movie?
And
Oh
not
my
only that, but
God.
he does like Kamehameha ball, and then like he
Yes!
like shoots like the bats at his boy. I was like, what? Are you?
That's not how bats work.
I was like, are you Hadoukening? Are you doing a Hadouken but with bats? Like, it's so weird.
Also, the weirdest thing that of the whole thing, of all the ridiculous things regarding the bat, the fact that he's saying he feels a kinship with these bats because of the bat, whatever blood shit he puts in himself. Matt Smith has the same stuff in him. So
Oh, that's
if there's
right.
a series where there's a moment where he gets in this like cage that he has all his bats in, and the bats like don't hurt him. He talks early in the movie how these bats like annihilate everything. They basically make bats the piranhas of the sky, is like how they they describe friggin' bats. And then he gets into the cage and the bats are like his friends and not attacking him. And he's like, see, I have a kinship with these things. But then he then forces them to attack someone else who is literally the same ability, got the same way from the same bats.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
that's a really good point because like his like Matt Smith got the same powers from literally the same batch of whatever it is, like the concoction, the vial. Like he basically made like one batch of this serum that
We're just gonna call it bat juice from now on.
Bat juice, yeah. Like he made like one like vat of bat juice that turned him into Morbius, and then his boy took it and turned him into that. But for some reason, Matt Smith doesn't have the bat powers. It's only Jared Leto because he's so special.
Oh my God.
It's so weird, and yeah, the powers are inconsistent too because okay. At one point in the movie, he kind of they're in the subway, right? They're in the tube, and for somehow, some way, he puts his hand out and he sees like the waves of like echolocation and sound that's coming from the subway and the train, and he's kind of like, you know, when you put your hand out of the window and you move your arm, he's kind of feeling that, and he's just like, can I fly? And then he just leaps up like over the train tracks and starts like gliding on the sound waves. I don't understand what the hell is happening.
Also, the train wasn't there yet. Like, I would understand if it was like the train's going by and he feels the waves coming off the train and he does it before the next train. Dude just jumps in front of the train and all of a sudden he's flying. I don't know. Like, I don't know about you, but like bats, like they have wings and that's what makes them fly, not sound waves. Yeah. I don't know. Like, again, it's a dumb movie and I shouldn't be picking it apart this much, but it was that bad.
And you know what? It's fine too because like even though it's a dumb movie, it's just like you're supposed to build a world, right? Like that's why franchises and movies like Harry Potter are so loved because they built like a real ass world that you could possibly live in and step into. Same thing with like Marvel movies. Like like their power scaling's crazy, but like they have established characters and they have established like lore. And this movie, they're just like, yep. So this guy just makes some bat juice from from bats, and now he's a bat. He can fly on waves and echolocation. He can hear things far away. He can jump around a lot. He has super speed for some reason, which is kind of I'm like, what does his super speed come in from bats? At least with Ant-Man, him shrinking down and able to lift things up makes sense because that's an ant thing. You can lift it. They can lift 50 times their own weight. But like they're like, all right, he's gonna have super speed. Morty, I don't know who cares. Who gives a shit? Just super speed. He flies on echolocation. He flies on sound and whatever. And I'm like, what? What?
It's like either be a bat or be undead.
Yeah.
Like give me one or the other.
Yeah. It's so odd. And there's like the violence is so needless. Like they put him in situations where he's just like killing and eating people just for the sake of this. It's weird, right? Okay, so Kristen, to you, does it feel like the story is so just disjointed that they're just throwing a bunch of scenes at us? Not really a movie, but they're throwing a bunch of scenes at us. Because at one point he goes to Matt Smith, who's his buddy, who they go from a story of them being children and being very sick to fast forwarding into our time where Morbius is this like acclaimed doctor who's getting a prize. But they don't tell us how Matt Smith's character, his boy's little boy, just becomes this like rich dude.
Rich. Yeah.
He's incredibly rich, and he's funding the projects. What? I was like, wait, whoa, where did this happen?
It's definitely a movie that was more focused on vibe than plot, because if you think about like the actual story from like the beginning to the end, or at least when he like is grown up, like not much happens. It's like, cool, maybe I can cure this with some bat shit. Awesome. Then he becomes the Thing, realizes he's crazy. His buddy finds out. He becomes it as well. And then they fight, and then the movie's over. Like, I don't know. Not much. Like,
really
not what
movie.
I'm saying is,
That's
not
it.
much happens in this movie. I have no idea how like an hour and 45 minutes or so went by. I've never watched a movie that made me long for Venom. Like that's how bad. Like really didn't like Venom, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna give Venom a friggin' Oscar after this.
You know, it's
This is
funny now you
ridiculous.
say that. Like at one point, I think it's when he told that this guy he was breaking his hand. You know, the guy was like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I am Venom," and I was like, "Damn, I appreciate the Venom movies more. I appreciate it now,
Dude.
compared to this. Damn."
Venom was at least self-aware. Like Venom knew what it was doing, and for me, it didn't work. It was not the kind of movie I wanted to go for. But I think we've talked about it before. There's a huge following regarding Venom. Like Venom actually did really well, like globally, and for what it was, it had a vision. It did that thing very well, and I think it was like appropriately silly. Like Tom Hardy he did his thing. He knew what he wanted to do. He was like all for it. Cool. Like Jared Leto is not the guy you go for a friggin' good time. Like he's the dark, broody, moody dude, not the guy that's like, hell yeah, I want to watch this dude be a kind of superhero.
Yeah, and it's weird too because they kind of have him have like a Tony Stark, like Doctor Strange complex a little bit, but he has a little sense of like he's kind of arrogant because of who he is, but he also has like a little bit of a sense of humor. It's a real hodgepodge of a character, you know. And he has like this lady interest that he has, like it's his assistant, but they're also romantically involved. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, like where
he's just not likable.
Yeah.
Like the character is not likable.
Yeah.
Honestly, Matt Smith was more likable. He was a jerk. He was the bad guy, but he was a more likable character because he was like owned it. He was like, yeah, I'm in here. I'm having fun with this stuff. And Leto's over there, like, you know, recording more emo songs. I don't know what he's just Jared Leto, but like with anemia.
Yeah,
like,
there's no difference between Jared Leto and Dr. Morbius.
No, there isn't.
It's the same guy. It's the same guy. That's probably why all their marketing was about Jared Leto himself and not the actual movie. Because like there was a huge like Sony campaign where they had all these YouTube videos and social media posts where it's just like Jared Leto at like a fashion show in Paris. I'm like, what? Like, but it was for Morbius. I'm like, what is this? It was so odd. But yeah, I did like Matt Smith's character because he's just like, oh, I like this. His power feels good. I'm no longer sick.
Yeah.
I'm no longer dying. I can do what I want. Let's go. I was like, yeah, he's kind of having fun with it. Morbius is like, oh, I can't control the beast. This is terrible. Oh my God. He's so dour about it.
Yeah.
And Matt Smith is like, yo, this is cool, baby. And then Morbius is just like, no, like, and it's funny too because in the movie, they try to make Morbius kind of the good guy where he's talking to Matt Smith's character like, you can't like this power, you can't have this power. And I'm like, why not? He kind of has a point. Like he's, as long as you drink like blood bags, and Matt Smith didn't want to drink blood bags, like they made him immediately like go after humans, but Jared Leto was refusing to drink blood bags. He was drinking the blood at first that he created that was like won him an award for saving people's lives and stuff like that. There's even a cop in this movie played by Tyrese. I don't know why he and his partner were in here. It's kind of useless. Oh yeah, the blood you made kind of saved my life. Thank you for that. Whatever. And I was like, what? It's kind of weird. But yeah, like and just going towards like the end of the movie there where they just fight just because Matt Smith liked the power. He didn't care about like, you know, killing people, like drinking blood and stuff like that. Like I feel like if Morbius kind of talks, I'm like, all right, listen, okay, we can both have this power. I won't stop you, but just don't like murder people. Or if you need to, maybe do it Dexter style. Maybe just do bad people. I don't know. Maybe just do criminals. You know, I don't know. Or maybe you know, I come up with like, you know, better blood, or we take blood from a blood bank, something like that, because you need actual blood. You know,
an anti-hero needs to be conflicted about what they're doing, and he like wasn't. Like they didn't make. I think, you know, we're in this weird trend of it's like seeing the point of view of the bad guy, and like fine, but if you're gonna do that, like you need to do it right. It needs to be like believable.
Yeah.
Because in this movie, Morbius, like in Spider-Man, like Morbius is pretty much the bad guy, and in this, like he's not. Even like Venom, like in a lot of cases, Venom just the actual character Venom versus what's the phrase? Oh, Eddie Brock. Like Eddie Brock wants to do it. Like he knows that this is bad. The stuff that's happening is bad, but like he's not in control. So like that makes sense for that character. But like they just made him a guy that was like, nah, like no, I now have this and I don't want anyone to do it. But like that's not interesting.
Yeah.
Like Matt Smith's character being like knowing what it is and doing bad things. You need to be conflicted. I don't know, man. That's Morbius. If you really want to have if you want to watch a dumb movie that's really dumb and you just want to get mad at the screen the whole time, I ended up watching this with my brother-in-law who likes terrible movies, and I was like, oh, I want to watch a bad movie tonight. It's like, what are you doing, Alex? Come on over. We're going to watch this terrible movie. And he was stoked, and the movie ended, and he was like, that was pretty good. And I was like, no, it wasn't.
What?
But it hit. And I was like, it hit the spot of watching a trashy, bad movie tonight.
Damn, he really does like bad movies.
Dude, he does like bad movies. I love him to death. But like, yeah.
And it's so funny.
You
because like these movies are made for somebody, right? Like Venom movies, they're made for somebody.
They're made for him.
Yeah.
They're made for him. I'll tell you, my brother-in-law is the person, the target demographic. And like I enjoyed hate watching this, but like I've talked about this all the time. The best dumb friggin' action movie in the world is Pacific Rim, because it gives you exactly enough plot to justify there being giant robots in there and nothing else. It doesn't give you anything else. And then they just fight. There's like 45 minutes of fighting. Half the movie is just robots punching each other and punching giant things, and it's great.
And Pacific Rim, and I always go back to that example too. It's such a great mix of just like action and like okay dialogue, but it knows that it's like a campy movie. It knows that it's fun.
Yep.
It doesn't take itself seriously. When you have a movie like that, you only have fun, right? I remember like seeing it in the theater and people were like reacting to it like it was like a sports event, right? And it was so much fun to watch. But when you have movies like this where the character's really like dour and he's like, oh, I don't like this power. I need to find a way out. And he doesn't like it, but like his boy does. And it's just like, it's such a convoluted plot. And it's like, this movie didn't need to be made. And yes, this Olgeta guy, it's a big levels of who asked. Like, who asked for this movie to be made? Who asked to write the script? Like, the writing's terrible. There's not much to say about Morbius. It's not good.
Dude, we got to talk about the friggin' end with Vulture.
Oh my God. Take it away.
Dude, I'm so mad because friggin' Michael Keaton as the Vulture is easily top 5 Marvel villains ever. Spectacular. At the time, like, it was absolutely amazing. Obviously, we got other phenomenal villains, like obviously Thanos was a big one, and oh my God, Michael B. Jordan's character. Why can't I think of it? Killmonger? No, not Killmonger. Yes, Killmonger? No. What's the character's name? I'm spacing on the character.
In Black Panther, that was Killmonger.
Yeah, it was Killmonger. Okay, I'm not crazy. Like these awesome, amazing villains, and Michael Keaton was like the start of that amazing. And then they friggin' put him into this other universe, right? And they show you see that this is all happening because of multiverse stuff. He gets pulled in, and then the next thing you know, he's out of jail because he doesn't belong in that universe, and he's somehow gets his Vulture jetpack and meets up with Morbius. Clearly, Michael Keaton was not actually hired to actually shoot that scene. They just got like voiceover, and even more importantly, Jared Leto, clearly they got him on a soundstage, didn't care, had him read the one line for him. But the logic of it's weird because the end of Spider-Man, when Venom gets pulled into that universe, then at the end, when they get put back, Venom gets sucked back to his own universe. So what the hell is happening with Vulture? They took him away from the MCU and they put him in the Sony shitverse.
Yeah.
Not happy.
It actually doesn't make any sense because like they show that big purple rip in the sky from the Spider-Man movie. It's just like, okay, so that ripped him out of his like Spider-Man Homecoming verse into the Sony. So now we see that's not how that works. What?
No,
That's
like
not how
I
it works at
don't
all.
understand. And also, like, didn't the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, like, he kind of accepted, okay, Spider-Man beat me, but I'm gonna keep my mouth shut about who Spider-Man is.
Yeah.
And then, although I guess by that logic, because of the spell, he then forgets who Spider-Man is, so he can go back to hating him. And he's no longer. So, all right. I think I talked myself out of being super upset about it. Now I'm just a little bit upset about it.
And the other thing too is just like, you know, like Morbius, and he meets up with Morbius, right? And it's weird because it's just like, okay, you came to this universe. I guess you got absolved of you being in jail. You're because they even said, oh, like there's an immediate court trial that might release him immediately. I was like, that's kind of convenient. And then he gets his Vulture gear in this universe.
I mean,
because like,
that kind of makes sense.
He's not from this universe, but he gets his Vulture costume.
Yeah, so I have no explanation for that
what?
whatsoever. What? However, him being in jail, the point is he all of a sudden, like, a man that all of a sudden pops up in jail that has no record, no one knows why he's there because he's not from that universe. Of course, there's going to be like, okay, what do we do with this guy? Do we just let him go? It's a jail, you got to do something. I get that. That's fine. It's stupid that he's there. It's stupid he hasn't gone back yet, but whatever. But where the hell did he get that technology to actually pull this stuff over? We don't know whether Tony Stark exists in this universe, and all that stuff comes from leftover Stark tech.
Yes, it's leftover Stark tech from the attack
in the
on New
Chitauri.
York. Yeah, from the Avengers. So it's just like this is the Sonyverse that didn't happen. And like they don't even like acknowledge it in this universe. It's so weird. And he finds Dr. Morbius. How? He meets him out in the desert or something. Like he contacted him. Like, how do you know about him? How did you contact him? Like, you're not Tony Stark. It makes zero. These people just made this movie with zero sense, zero logic. Like it's so freaking bad. This is just a lesson that's just like, you don't need to rush to use the licenses that you have, right? Like Sony has the licenses for Spider-Man villains. All right. It doesn't mean you need to rush to make a movie with them, with a script that doesn't make any sense, a movie that's really boring, an ending that just kind of happened. Like he just kind of fought his best friend. He's like, you can't have this vampire power. Oh, you need to like it. No. And then they fight and like they throw like a dragon. They throw like, not dragon. They Dragon Ball Z kind of like fight each other. And then they throw bats. He throws bat at him and then he like stabs him or something. And then like his love interest who he bit like turns into a vampire. I'm like, what?
Also, like, this is another movie where all of a sudden they just were like, oh, by the way, it's his girlfriend now. And then she, does the, like, there just wasn't enough to build on there. It was like, okay, like, either go there or don't go there, but it didn't seem like they're going there. And then I was like, all right, cool, let's make out. And then she bites his lip. Like, she's about to die. And then she does this weird, like, sexy tongue, like, licks her own lip thing. And I was like, girl, you're 3 seconds away from death. Don't use your last action alive friggin' showing off for this asshole. Just saying.
Yeah.
Very upset.
Oh my god, ridiculous.
Anyways, that's Morbius.
Anyway, guys, that is Morbius. If you guys watched the Morbius movie, let us know if you saw it in theaters, if you paid money for it. If you did like it, really let us know why you like it. It might be a cult of personality. You might just like Jared Leto a lot, and you wanted to go support your boy. Nothing wrong with that. You might have liked the plot. You might have liked the CG effects. You might have liked a lot of things. Let us know if you really liked the movie. But we'll see you guys later. See you another time.